Welcome to another edition of Florida Newsmakers. I'm Tramel Gomes with our very special guest, U.S. Representative Steve Southerland. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tramel. Great to be with you.
All right, glad to have you here. Let's go right into it. Your effort to seek a third term is being met with an energetic opponent in that of Democrat Gwen Graham. This race, in fact, is being watched nationally very closely. Make the case for your reelection.
Well, I think that when we first started in 2010, we were very clear what we stood for. We believe that going forward that we've got to empower individuals, empower families, empower small businesses, and the federal government does have limits, and so I don't believe in a government-centered society. I believe in a society where individuals make decisions that they feel are in their best interest, and so we're seeing in Washington right now many circumstances where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. We're seeing a massive expansion of the federal government, and literally it's encroaching upon the rights of the states and the rights of local communities. And I think there's a role, obviously, but I think there's a lane to swim in. And I think that the federal government needs to swim in their lane. So we understand the importance of an economy moving forward that creates economic opportunity for all people. And so we've been doing everything in Washington, D.C. to align with those values over the last 2 terms. And so we are humbly asking the people for their vote and their support for a 3rd term.
Let's talk about some of your work in Washington, more recently with the recent bill that you filed that you said, quote, will stop big government bullies from implementing a new Clean Water Act. Talk about that.
Well, I think that if you look at the rule that was noticed by the EPA that would empower the EPA and the Corps of Engineers to control more inland property. Currently under the Clean Water Act, the federal government has the jurisdiction over navigable waters. And the states and local governments work in a partnership to regulate the waters adjacent to navigable waters. And that process of partnership, I think, is a far more healthy process than the elimination of that partnership where the federal government regulates everything. And so what our bill does to trim down the EPA's notice that they're going to expand their jurisdiction, it doesn't allow that. It limits them to their jurisdiction. So, because if you look at the expansion of that jurisdiction, the threat to jobs, the threat to inland properties, really is to encroach upon property rights, and now brings in their regulation over ditches and culverts and puddles, and I just think that's very, very dangerous to give the federal government that much authority.
All right, when it talks about jobs, as a 3rd-generation small business owner, you've put a lot of focus on job creation and the economy. Help us understand. Tell us some of your successes in creating jobs for the area, for Florida.
Well, I think it's the government's responsibility to create an environment that is conducive for job growth. Government doesn't create a job. Government creates an environment that is conducive for job creators. And so I think the certainty of regulation, the certainty of taxation, the certainty of government services that are necessary, I think, for an environment that would entice job creators to come and make the investment. It is the job creators, the investors, the hardworking men and women in small businesses, in mom and pops on Main Street America, out of their homes perhaps, or out of a garage apartment, to where those are the ones that really are driving the economy. Over 80% of our economy is small business. Those entities, those individuals need the certainty before they are going to launch their venture. And so everything we've done legislatively has really been, just like the EPA bill that we just referenced, to create certainty rather than uncertainty that I believe often comes out of Washington.
Medicaid expansion. Should Florida take the federal money? If not, why not?
Well, I think that where is that money coming from? That money is coming from a program that currently I think is already at a breaking point, and that is the Medicare dollars. If you look at Medicare and the money that has been taken out of Medicare to expand Medicaid, we're talking about $750 million billion dollars out of Medicare to expand Medicaid at a time where you've got 10,000 seniors a day going into Medicare, going into Social Security. And what's happening? Well, the New England Journal of Medicine has said that in the next 6 years, there's going to be a shortage of 93,000 physicians because they've so cut the Medicare reimbursement dollars to providers that hospitals are closing, nursing home providers are closing, and I don't know if you can expand Medicaid at the expense of Medicare, a program that is working and a program that's already serving so many Americans. So I just don't think that's the answer.
Mm-hmm. All right. As we see new attack ads hit the airwaves, what would you like voters to know about you and your opponent going into this election?
Well, the attack ads are oftentimes very silly. Trying to paint me as someone who flies on my own plane up to D.C. and obviously I don't own a plane, and I do fly to D.C. each week typically on Delta. Look, I fly up and back each week. I feel that it's important to live in the district and live with the people you represent. And if you don't come home, you get out of touch with the needs of the people that you represent. So this idea that, look, I drive a pickup truck. One of the ads is very silly. It shows me, in front of a Bentley, I think. And the gentleman that says that I'm hugging up to a lobbyist, the gentleman that I'm hugging in that picture is my dad. And so I think you get into the silliness of a campaign. I guess that's part of it. But look, I think people see through that in the end. They want to know what you believe in. What are you going to fight for? And are you going to fight for our children? Are you going to fight for job creation? You're going to fight for the security of our families? And for the strongest America possible. Those are the things that I think America wants to know about, and those are the things that I think we fought for the last 2 terms, and we'll do so again if we have the privilege to serve a third.
All right. Well, Congressman Southerland, thank you so much for joining us here on the program. We hope to have you back.
Thank you very, very much.
And to our viewers, we'll catch you next time.